personally am not a big fan of Botox. Obviously, look. Okay. Because and I did a video on that and it was Botox alternative and let me see if I can grab that because okay, you know when you work out your muscle in the gym, if you don't work that muscle out, so what happens? Right, it gets weak, right? It atrophies. Okay? So, sometimes you don't see a lot of it because people are embarrassed, but they do show these in some of these medical journals is what depending on where you put the Botox is that muscle will start to weaken, right? Because it's frozen. And then what happens is it weakens and so that lift that you have wears off and then over time it starts to weaken and droop even more, which then makes you have to go back. You have to get the Botox because it looks worse. So no, muscle does not turn into fat. Muscle cells and fat cells are completely different. Okay? They one doesn't turn into the other. When you work muscle, they get stronger. Fat is fat. Okay? So it just seems like it does because you increase the percentage of the fat. Fat sits on top of your muscle, but one doesn't turn into the other. They're two completely different cells, muscle cell and fat cells. They don't turn into each other, okay? Okay. But okay, so the muscles on the face are how they're different from the muscles on the body is the muscles on the body are attached to bone and ligaments. The muscles on your face are attached to your skin. I mean, it sits on top of the bone, right? But it's attached to your skin. So you want to strengthen the muscles and that's why there's like that face yoga and all of that which can help. However, if the fine lines and wrinkles that you have, they are typically caused by over and over repetitive emotional expressions on the face which are dynamic muscles, okay? Eventually, what can happen is those dynamic muscles become static or dynamic muscles, dynamic wrinkles, right? You get the wrinkles from doing that expression over and over and over, right? When you have static, when they turn static, it's when those expression wrinkles that even though your face is expressionless, they stay, right? And so by doing the facial yoga, your expressions, your facial muscles are created to make those expressions over and over. So if those wrinkles came from making those expressions, for example, let me give you an example. So I just did a consultation. I did it was all day, you guys. I did 5 consultations. Okay. Here is a facial muscle, right? Okay. So see how these muscles go across, they go across the scalp. They run this way, right? And then this is a good, let's see if you can see it here. Oops. See this muscle that goes this way, like, oops, across here. So that muscle goes this way, right? As gravity pulls us down, it gets weaker. So then we get these marionette lines, right? So if you're doing exercises like this, those wrinkles come because that's what we do. We chew, we talk, right? We yawn. And so you want to pull this muscle, but there's no way to strengthen that muscle by doing exercises, right? So you want to use that microcurrent to strengthen that cuz watch if as that strengthens, this disappears. Does that make sense? So, getting back to the question about Botox is you can at 20 years old, like, well, I would want to ask why, because the younger you start these invasive procedures, by the time you get to my age, I just think that this is why these consultations that I'm doing with these young girls, I look at their skin, and when they submit their photos, and then I think, okay, this person must be, 38 years old or something. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, they're only like 29, So I don't recommend Botox for younger people. I actually don't recommend it even for people my age. I know that we are in a generation that we want instant results right away. They don't want to work up to it. But I just think that for long term, it just gets you in that cycle of having to go back, and that's what I don't like.